Right, okay. Episode 3 of the Newark SKC Podcast. Today we've got guest hosting with me is Sensei Steve Walsh, and we've got, I'm sure quite a few people that listen to this, everyone will know, is Sensei Phil Raikes.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How the devil are you?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. Not too bad.
So let's get down to it. What does karate mean to you?
Oh, karate was, when I first started, I was 15 years old and I was a bit of a problem child back then. And,
I don't believe it.
Yeah, absolutely true, yeah. Bit ADHD, bit of a problem child. And I got trouble at school for knocking some lad out, some sixth former. And I was very aggressive. And I was told by my head of house, Mrs. Ferguson, you need to do something like rugby or boxing or some kind of combat sport.
You've got to find some way of channeling it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I went down to karate and I went with a friend of mine, Clive Ellis. God rest his sweet soul. He died about 3 weeks ago, Clive, the same age as me. I went with Clive and another guy called Herbert Porter. And we all went down and we started doing Shotokan karate under Alan Bainbridge at the time, I think it was. And
that would have been at the Old Grove Leisure Centre, was it?
Yeah. He just took over from another guy. Who was that, Steve?
John Bojan.
Yeah, John Bojan. He just took over from that. And I started training and I really enjoyed it. A young guy there, black belt, he was quite inspirational, a young brown belt. No, he was brown belt then. Brett Selby, his name was. He was like really supple and he could do the box splits. I thought, wow, that's amazing. How do you do that? And he was really good actually. Brett was. What
was it about the karate when you sort of went down like the first time then that really grabbed you about it?
I think for me it was a humbling experience for me because at school I thought I was chocolate really. You know, I thought there was me, a guy called Bob Gelsthorpe, Clive, a few others who was, I don't know, troubled young lads. But I went down to karate. I soon found out I was a very small fish in a very big pond, and it was a humbling experience. And I think that's what was good for me, really. It calmed me down.
Was that almost immediate?
It was a steep learning curve, Chris. Yeah, yeah, it was a steep learning curve. I think Sensei Steve here, I think he was brown belt at the time when I first started. Sensei Steve taught me a rather sharp lesson with one of his famous Kizamazukis in my chest, and I thought, oh dear, yeah. So I didn't shy away from it.
No.
I kept going back.
No, because some people might have thought, oh no, this is definitely not the place for me. But you rose to the challenge. Thought,
I wanted to come back, and I did. And then I think Alan, after a while, he started another club in Lincoln. So I was training 5 days a week. You know.
Were you going to Lincoln as well?
Yeah, I was at Lincoln every session I could get. I did also train with a guy in Nottingham, Shukakai instructor, Jimmy Todd. Yeah. He was a good fighter. Jimmy was very aggressive, very very heavy session. But I even used to go down there, and also I used to go with Steve. We used to go down to Bingham, Rushcliffe. And anywhere where there was a karate club, we used to train. So we didn't mix it up.
And a friend of yours, Brian Dobb, as well, because he was
Brian.
Brian was Shukakai.
He was Shukakai, but I trained more with Jimmy in Nottingham because I had another friend, Ian Booth, who was the national Kofukan champion, and Ian was a really good fighter. And we used to train again. I used to meet him on my days off. I used to go to Lincoln and train with him. He knew somebody who had a dojo, and he got the keys. And me and him used to just get up and just have a knock around once a week. I was basically training probably 6-7 days a week at that time, you know.
What was the difference that you saw between Shukakai and then obviously Shotokan if you were training in Newark?
I think Shukakai was a lot shorter in the stance. It was a completely different style, really. I mean, the katas you can see the movements are the same. They're moving in the same direction and that. Shooty-yukis are quite similar, but it's very high stance. It depends who you train with. I trained under Jimmy, and his sessions were just intense and bruising and hard. You know, it wasn't so much about styles. You know, it was about who could last
Russian
the longest.
hardest.
I just sort of took it as a personal, challenge to keep going back. I was going there at one time as well for quite a while, for a couple of years. I was going there once a week.
I think back in the day it was a bit like that as well, though, wasn't it? If you was new, they'd put you through your paces and see what you were made of and see if you would come back.
You've got to understand as well, back in the day, karate was hard.
Yeah, it's quite attritional.
It was a hard, and it was something that you couldn't do. I've said it before on other podcasts. You can't do what we did now. You'd just be struck off immediately. You can't, deliberately go out and hurt somebody, which was just the norm back then. Really hard.
Obviously, I remember from being younger, again, training. Being taught by, being taught by you guys, training with, but being taught by you guys. And I can remember seeing it while it was still like that.
Yeah.
But like you say, it is like very different.
But you can't sustain that. That was a problem with it. Physically, you couldn't sustain it. And your members went down because nobody wanted that really. And it has changed. It's become really technical, I think. There's quite a technical aspect now to it. But back in the day, it was. I mean, I knew guys like H at the national championships.
Yeah.
He never kicked. He didn't do any kicked. He was just as wide as he was tall, and he was just heavy-handed, and he just used to mash people up. He was a horrendous. He was like a little gorilla.
Square.
And he always used to get up towards the last 18. Before he got knocked out, just hard. Joe Farley, another guy back in the day, absolute monster, really heavy-handed. And we're talking about an era where I've witnessed Terry O'Neill breaking somebody's skull on the mat. That actually happened at the KGB Nationals.
Was that like with one of his axe kicks?
It was an axe kick, but then he turned it to a spinning back kick and he hit him with his heel on his head. Yeah. And it was reported that he cracked his skull.
Yeah, you did well.
It was vicious, mate. It really was.
Those axe kicks. I know in the
but they got banned.
They got banned
because people were getting very badly injured and knocked out with these axe kicks.
But I'd even seen Terry O'Neill feign an axe kick, turn it into a forward roll, and then attack the man by getting up again. That was at the Nationals. It was those early days at the Nationals was just so eye opening and phenomenal. To see these guys.
The Crystal Palace.
Just
fighting. It was something else.
But in the early days, then at Newark, it's one thing, and I definitely noticed the difference nowadays. Like the etiquette, like when you came in, was it quite strict on you? That bowing and being very respectful.
Yeah, it was. It was extremely strict. But the difference is nowadays, I think there's a protocol you have to follow now, where there weren't different instructors. You did different things, but it was stuff like. If you made a mistake, you got 50 press ups on your knuckles and stuff like that, or if you was really getting a bit out of order, they'd stick you up at the end of a lineup, which what a lineup is. Yeah. You got like 10 guys and attacking you with any attack, and you have to block and counter, and it was full on. That was like part of your punishment, but it, like you say, it was a steep learning curve, so we didn't get that kind of discipline. It was military,
Kept everybody
but it worked.
In order.
Yeah.
But it worked. We was a really successful club.
Not for everybody, but it certainly sorts the wheat from the chaff.
It was a really successful club. So it did work for that time period.
Yeah. So who, obviously you were training and going training here, there and everywhere. Who was your first grading examiner when you?
My first grading examiner was somebody I've looked up to, and I looked up to this day. And the first time I saw him, I thought he was some kind of like superhuman being. It was Sensei Kawazoe, and he's technically near perfect. And he always trained in the old JKA way. See, KGB under Sensei Inordi was very different from everybody else's, because Sensei Inordi was a third dan at judo. Therefore, his karate was very strong. His punches were strong and big. Big movements, very low stance. Whereas Sensei Kawazoe does it the traditional Japanese way, which was quite a higher stance. And it was done absolutely correctly, but he was special, that guy was. He was something else. I loved Sensei Kawazoe. I really loved him. Technically, he was brilliant. He's a very quiet man as well, very humble man. And I always loved training with him. He was something special. It's one of those in life. There are people in life that they, whatever sport you like, say some people like Sugar Ray Leonard in boxing or Mike Tyson. In karate, he was one of my top boys, if not my favourite.
And they inspire you, don't they? Those sorts of guys.
But that's what you want, though. You want that inspiration, in your karate, don't you?
Yeah. But I also, there were other people like Graham Ravey, who was a Goju instructor.
Came from, he trained in Okinawa, didn't he?
Yeah, he trained in Okinawa under Sensei Higeonna. So, Higeonna is the pinnacle of Okinawan karate. He's the top man. And he trained under him for years and years and years. He was a magnificent karate man. This is, people think I'm joking now. This is the truth. We used to warm up with Graham, right? Sensei Graham. And we used to do 300 press-ups, 300 sit-ups, and 300 squats. We used to do 1,000 punches and 1,000 kicks in a class. And then we might get up and block and do blocking techniques.
Then we try and do some training,
But it was ultra basic, but it was all about conditioning.
Yeah.
Their style of karate was, don't hit somebody, block them hard, then they won't want to hit you anymore. It was that kind of thing. He used to do shotayukis, we used to clash arms, but that was part of the development of, the conditioning that we used to do. It didn't work in competition. It never worked in competition, but as, say, if you walked in, if there was two men in a room, he would come out every time. And I don't care who they are.
Yeah.
If there's two men in the room, he's the guy that come out. He was a big guy, wasn't he? Ripped, huge chest and shoulders.
Yeah,
he was brilliant, mate.
6'2",
really
big.
Nice guy as well.
Yeah, very
light voice. When he was a lovely guy, but when he trained, oh my God!
But he was another inspirational instructor. I'd come back after injury.
And how did you guys meet and get to train with him?
He just turned up, didn't he?
Well, I think was it Alan that knew him, or he heard of him, so and he invited him down for a session.
Yeah, because I'd just come back from injury, and it was the first session.
I remember that one.
It was the first session, and we started with all these squats.
And what injury was this?
I ruptured my
ankle,
ruptured my ankle Achilles tendon in. It's a knockout, would you believe? In the Newark Market Square, but.
I remember seeing your face when you walked in.
Coming back from that, I thought, who's this guy? And black belt, great to see a black belt in the dojo.
Yeah.
And started with all these press-ups, sit-ups, squats, and that was...
Squat kicks.
Yeah, one of my closest times to being sick in the dojo.
Yeah, you had to sit down.
Yeah. I did take a bit of a break.
I've just had 3 months off. Can I sit down, please? Yeah. But that way, he was an incredible instructor as well. He was very inspirational. It almost got me to Japan. I almost went. I always thought I'm going to save up. I'm going to go to Japan and train with him, but I didn't go. I regret that really.
But speaking of you guys, obviously had the dreams of going to Japan, but it was never materialised.
It's difficult, isn't it? I started a business with a friend of mine, and you got into that, and it meant going over to Japan. You couldn't. And there's a friend of mine, Bob Manny, is an instructor in Nottingham. One of my best mates in karate. He was a brilliant lad, and he went out to Japan for not nearly a year, didn't he? He was training out there every day for a year, and he said it was amazing.
Great instructor.
Hey,
Bob is a great instructor.
Great instructor. He's now a 5th or 6th dan.
6th dan, I think he is now.
6th dan, yeah. So Bob's a great instructor and a really nice guy, good mate of mine. I like him.
If you're listening, Bob, be nice to have you on the podcast next.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Yeah, he'll have to get his hair trimmed before he comes though. A bit bushy hair. He might have had it cut now. I don't know.
No, he's still got flowing locks.
Yeah,
but so when you graded for the first time, what was Calzoe like? Was he firm but fair?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it was very basic when he first graded. Of course, it's just one technique at a time, but it was a full repertoire. We did everything from the stepping punches, rising blocks, inside outside blocks, but we also did Maigeri, Yokogeri, Kiyagi, Kikomi, which I don't think they're doing the white belt grading now. And Yeah, so everything was just one technique, but he was very, very keen on his technique. If it wasn't right, then he probably got temperate. You know, he didn't take it lightly.
It was fair.
It was fair. Yeah,
I think being as supple as he was and as strong as he was, you know, his technique was absolutely, like Phil says, sublime. So he just tried to push you to that level, you know.
Yeah, he was excellent. He was. Yeah.
So obviously you guys met at Newark, and been firm friends, ever since. And this is the one thing, like with karate, that you'll find, you know, you'll make lifelong friendships.
Well, lifelong friendships. It's one of those
anybody
things.
You see as I mean, I wasn't an instructor at the time, but you see people and you think they've got something special, which Phil certainly has. And you know, you want to try and channel that as best you can. And you know, we attended a lot of competitions, a lot of going down to Crystal Palace,
I think
things like that. So that, you know, we sort of learnt together. Really, it was very good.
Came up through the ranks together.
I think that's the mark of a good friend, and also like a good instructor as well, that you can recognise that in people and push them in.
Yeah, you can see their strengths, and it's something that you try and work with, and you know, help as much as you can. And you know, I probably said it last time, Phil's got photographic memory for kata, so if you ever was struggling with the kata, you'd say, Phil, where over this move, and you'd just go, right, this is it.
No, but you come across those people either, if it's, you'll either get people who are teaching for a living. You'll come across, you know, other people that you just think, how can you how can you remember?
That was my thing, and I think that's what I was. I always said there was two things I was good at: art and karate. Yeah, I'm not too bad at barbering now. I'm starting to get it. Starting to get it. But yeah, I used to do very good at art at school and karate. I just seemed to. I'd had a memory where I learnt all my katas up to black belt. So it's like all the Ayan katas, Teki Shodan, Basai Dai, and Niji Shiho when I was a white belt. Yeah. I just, because Brett Selby, the guy I was telling you about, I used to just go around to his house and knock him up and say, can you show me this kata? Can you show me this kata? And I used to go around to his house and he'd tell me. He sort of fell away from it a bit. And I just wanted to learn, you know, and was like, every day I was on it, you know. It was my little thing, you know, back in the day. I loved it. Yeah, I still do.
Selby was, you know, he reminded me of Darren Turner a little bit because he was so supple.
Very supple, yeah.
You know, very technically good.
Yeah. Darren was
probably a little bit light, you know, in stature. But
very slim, wasn't he? Yeah, but he technically, I mean, he was so supple. Box splits, you know, as loose as elastic he was, and he was really good. His side kicks were really snappy, I remember.
Really
and high. Yeah, he was very good,
So when you were on last, you know, you mentioned about when you went from Newark and then set up South. Well, did you immediately like follow?
I went with Steve,
like to Southwell.
Yeah, I went with Steve. I enjoyed it with Sensei Bainbridge, but I was really close with Steve. And then when Steve says, "Well, I'm thinking about doing a club," I said, "Well, I'm coming with you then." You know, because I was close with Steve. Nothing against Alan. I mean, I wasn't back in the day. You know, he was a good instructor. You know, he was a good instructor, Sensei Alan. He's done really well in Australia. You know, I think he's chief instructor of Australia. He's still about.
Yeah. Still
and he's done well out there. But Steve is my mate, and I just wanted to. It didn't feel right that.
I think it formed a good bond to start with, going over to Southwell like that.
Willie was there with us as well, wasn't he?
Willie came with us, Willie Patton. The man who sits in my seat, his father.
and his dad. But well, hopefully we'll get Sensei Will on at some point if he's up for it.
Yeah.
Again,
stories.
So then eventually like starting Grantham, and then
that was for me. That was when we got serious about karate. I mean, we was always serious about karate, but when we got to Grantham, it was a really good club, and we had loads of numbers, didn't we?
Yeah, big numbers.
And we had some good lads. We had people like Mark Amos and Darren Turner. And Michael Jameson, Ian Emstock, really good lads, good fighters. And they all came through the grading system together. Got the black belts. Matt Cove as well. Matt Cove was good. Well, Matt actually came third in the national championship.
Yeah, mate. Well, I've been speaking with Sensei Matt, hoping he'll be coming on as well.
Yeah, he was good, Matt, and also Malcolm Rigby, who went on to play for Forest as a goalkeeper, but that's why he had to jack up his career. But Mal won quite a few competitions as well. Yeah, and he was very good. Malcolm
really
and
good. Matt together.
We was lucky. We had a lot of people at the same time. And
they started at Newark and sort of bridged the gap between Newark and Grantham, swapped from site.
Well, again, that was the thing with like Newark and Grantham, though. I mean, it's literally down the road.
Yeah.
Even I remember as a young lad, we're getting on, Sensei Alan would be sorting a coach out. We'd all be getting on the coach to go to the Centrals or the Nationals. Yeah. So but both clubs work, sort of work together.
Yeah, it worked, It was good. I enjoyed it.
But yes, it was a strong club, like Phil says, and you say you got serious then, but you had a nucleus of people who wanted to.
Well, it always makes a difference,
and
having people that will help you out in the club as well, and bringing other people on. And
socially, it was some of the best times we've had. We had a social side to the club that was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I remember that you going on a few Guinness drinking weekends.
Yeah,
we did just that. Yeah,
trips.
I mean, at one time at Grantham, how many black belts did we have, Steve? We must have.
I reckon we had over 40 in the end.
Yeah,
but
black belts.
Yeah, I know. Sensei,
crazy, mate. Yeah.
I know Sensei Wayne we were just talking about this for Newark the other day, and I think he used to have like information on even like from when Alan, how many people had passed to Shodan, and I think it's definitely over 100. I'm sure it's like over 100 in its 50 Newark in its 50 odd years.
Yeah,
that it's been going.
Yeah. We did tot it up at one stage when we had all the grading cards and things like that. Sort of memories fading a bit, but there was a good number. Especially when you was bringing young lads up as well. They were getting probably up to their teenage years and then getting to black belt, then probably going on to university, finding other things to do. I think they'd come back to the club during the holidays periods, and it was good to see them.
Did Newark and Grantham go down to like Crystal Palace to the courses at Crystal Palace together, or was
we did? There weren't many of us, was there?
There wasn't many
from us. Yeah,
there was a few of us went from Grantham, and then we'd already be down there, so the bus had come down, and if anybody wanted to be on the bus, they'd jump on it, and then they could compete on the Saturday. But we'd been down there since previous Sunday.
Yeah, because I remember you said it was like 5 days, or was it like 5 days or a week?
Well, it was 2 weeks back then, wasn't it?
You could do two. If you got the stamina and the money, you could do 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it was a 2-week course.
Yeah.
But we went for the second week leading up to the Nationals.
That was a good course.
Yeah. I imagine really obviously we've got our spring. The JK's got their spring course this weekend, and it's always invaluable because you're getting the Japanese instructors coming over.
Yeah,
and. I imagine you guys, I know from last time, but you trained with like
all the top Japanese instructors. They all came, Yahara Sensei, obviously Kawazoe was always there. Ota was like Sensei and always understudy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And we had a lot of different.
Tanaka Sensei,
Mori, Tanaka, Osaka. Yeah, we had some sessions. It was
what was it like? Because I know we've spoken in the past, and like Yahara was pretty.
Yeah, he was one of those. He was one of those guys like Sensei Kawazoe. He was inspirational, but in a different way.
Yeah, intensity to it.
I think Yahara was a real fighter, and he was unbelievably fast, and his array of technique was phenomenal. His kata sessions were paired up. He used to practice all the kata. A lot of the time he used to practice a kata. Because in the morning we used to have a kumite session, and in the afternoon we'd have a kata session at Crystal Palace. And of course, lads would turn up, no boxes on, because I think they were doing kata. Of course, they'd paired up. And I always remember this one story. We was practicing unsu, which is Sensei Yahara's favourite kata. So he was stood there opposite a guy with his hands up, and he said, okay, you do Mawashigari. And the guy did a Mawashigari. He was a European lad. And he threw this Mawashigari in a flash of a second. He was on the floor, and he roundhouse kicked him in the groin, in the testicular area. He had no box on, mate. So that was him gone. And he says, why haven't you got a box on? He said, well, just kata session, Sensei. He goes, nah, always wear box, you know. So again, it was bunkai, where you practice your kata moves paired up.
Yeah.
So I think Yahara was pretty real. Is pretty real as in like kumite based. But he was fantastic. He was a good fighter, your Sensei Yahara. Yeah, really enjoyed training with him. He was very inspirational. Yeah, you liked it, didn't you?
I thought he was probably one of my favourite instructors, other than Sensei Noida. But
yeah, it's tough. Tough man.
Yeah, he was inspirational, as I said last time. But going down to the summer course was, Phil and I are desperate to go to the top of the line and just train with all the top boys there. You'd have, fifth and sixth dans coming from all over the world.
I think I've probably taken that from you guys then, because I always think, if it's there, get to the top of the line, go to where that experience is.
We always did that. We was all straight up the other end. Got me in trouble one day, though. Got paired up with Owen Hall. No, he's all right, actually. He was good. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I imagine it was a bit intense.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good. Well, as I say, back in the day, Owen was, probably my favourite fighter of all time. But he didn't have it all his own way. Back in the day, we was good. We was good. We was up there. We was up there with the rest of them. So it
wasn't an easy ride for anybody.
No, we did all right.
But what was your? Did Sensei Noida take you for your Shodan?
No, Andy Sherry took me from a Shodan. Sensei Noida took me from his second dan at Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
at Crystal Palace. And
what's your memories of Sensei Noida?
My memories of Sensei Noida, how can I say? Really funny guy. A real sense of humour. I was actually really privileged. We was privileged when we was down at Crystal Palace, and every time we used to go, we was big friends with Sensei Bob Rhodes. Again, another inspirational instructor of ours. Real good. But he's a good friend as well, Bob. I really liked him. Big friend of mine. And of course, he used to fight for Sensei Noida in the British team. So we get a phone call, don't we, in a room. Bob says, room, wherever it was, room 97, get upstairs. And we said, wanted to go to sleep because we got running at 6 a.m. with him, So we go up to the room. So there'd be Sensei Bob and Paul Allen, Scottish instructor, God rest his soul, Paul's died now, and Sensei Noida. So we sat up till like 3 a.m. drinking whiskey, didn't we? And Sensei's so funny he was. And I think that's one of the most outrageous. He was ferocious in training, but he really had a funny sense of humour. It was hilarious. He really was funny, and a nice guy. I really, as a man, he was a nice man. I really loved training with Sensei Noida, but he was a good bloke.
It seemed to be like, from what I remember, because obviously I know we had him up at Grantham when I was a young lad, and we trained with him a few times with you guys, but it even as a young lad, you can remember the magnetism, the presence.
Yeah. He walked into a room, you knew he'd walked in, even if you never saw him. You felt an energy about him, and he was, And you got to remember, he was at the top of the pile of the KGB when it was at its absolute peak. He was at Crystal Palace. We'd start at 10 in the morning. There'd be something like 14 areas going all day long, and we'd walk out there at 11 at night. We're talking the biggest competition in the world at the time. Yeah. There's never been anyone like it. I'm sure if you chat with Bob Rhodes, he'll tell you exactly the same. He says that was the best karate ever was, in numbers and the competitors, and it just never stopped all day.
I think the key thing to that is that it was fairly compressed into, it wasn't splintered. It was, there was other styles.
Yes, there's other styles, but you'd got just that amount of numbers. I mean, even again, I remember the nationals, the central, the central regions.
It's massive.
Yeah, I remember as a young lad, you'd be trying to push through, trying to get just so you could have a look, see who was fighting.
See, back then there was 2 Shotokan organisations, just 2. Yeah. And that was SKI with Sensei Asano, who again was another inspirational instructor, and Sensei in order at KGB. 2. How many different organisations now are Shotokan? There must be 20 different, more, you know. So, and KGB was the biggest karate organisation in the world. It had more members than any other, and I don't think they'll ever surpass it, because karate was very popular back then. You know, obviously we've got jiu-jitsu.
Boom years, wasn't it? Yeah.
You've got jiu-jitsu and MMA.
I think it is still really popular. It's just so fragmented now.
Yeah, that's right. You're probably right, Chris. Yeah, you're probably right, mate. Yeah.
But what you just mentioned, is it Sensei Asano there? What, did you train with him?
Yeah, I did, yeah. He trained with Asano, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I trained with him once, actually.
Early days, yeah.
Yeah, I trained with him once, yeah.
It was when that we didn't know what associations were, so we had that crossover where we SKI or were we KGB.
Yes, I remember you mentioning that, yeah.
It wasn't until a bit further down the line that our alliance was with KGB.
Yeah, he trained at Nottingham, Colton Forum at Nottingham, Sensei Asano. And he had a world champion, Adrian Trimble, under Sensei Asano. But Adrian, again, he broke off, had his own organisation, and another splinter. So it just went like that, didn't it? You know.
But so at Crystal Palace, I remember you saying that I know you guys were good friends with Sensei Bob Rhodes.
Yeah.
I heard that he sort of stitched you guys up one time, didn't he? You were out sampling a few beverages with him, and then you'd got running in the park. Was it the next day?
Yeah, well, that was every day.
That was
that was every day.
It was, we met on the Sunday night.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, we're off to the Paxton Arms." Was it
Paxton Arms? Yeah, across the road at Crystal Palace.
Yeah. And he says, "Oh, yeah, we'll just have a couple, and we'll go in, just go up for the night." Of course, 5 or 6 pints later, and he's there saying, "Right, 6 o'clock in the morning, see ya."
Yeah.
And then running in the park, bit of training.
It just got you going in the morning, when you're stiff from the days before training. We'd run down, take a nice, gentle sort of stroll down, and then we'd stretch out and do it. And it sort of set you up for the day, didn't it? It made you feel a bit better for the day, I think.
Luckily, we had fantastic weather every time. So.
Yeah, it was every time, wasn't it? May, it was lovely, wasn't it? And it was, I remember this one time, every Wednesday they had like a party for all the students, and Bob, he got really drunk. Bob, you won't mind saying, because he's he got really drunk. And I remember this image of him walking to his flat. He had a bottle of vodka which was almost empty, right? And I thought, no way is he going to be running in the morning. Sure enough, he was there, mate.
He was there first.
So he was there, and we all had to run down and train in the morning. I was thinking, oh my God. But then he cleared you, didn't it? He was all right for the rest of the day, yeah.
These parties on the Wednesday night, it's usually a Wednesday night, I can't remember, but they tried to invite anybody who'd got a bit of you want to tell a joke, sing, anything. And Sensei Noida would turn up, and he would tell pretty much the same joke every year, but it was so funny. Can't remember the contents of it now, but it was
good.
It was about it was toilet humour. Let's put it that way.
It was
fantastic.
Yeah. It was
and
good.
Getting somebody like Sensei Noida to tell it in his broken English and in the sort of Japanese way.
Yeah, it was funny.
I think he found it equally as funny as everybody else.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I remember, obviously when you guys had him at Grantham. I mean, I don't think I'd ever seen a grading so busy at Grantham.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah,
because he was
at the RAF Centre, the army.
The army barracks.
Army barracks. Yeah.
So I remember you had him at the army barracks, and then I'm pretty sure definitely in the big hall. There was the larger hall at Grantham. The old Grantham.
But we just put it out to all the clubs in the vicinity. Sensei Noida's coming, and it would.
I just remember the grading going on and on.
Yeah, I remember the
I graded I think once or twice, under him, and I can't remember. I'd have to look at my license now to see what grade it was. But I remember thinking it is going to be. Even as a child, just thinking this is going to be ages before I'm on.
Yeah.
But the brown and black belt session was quite a brutal session. I remember that. And
I always remember you guys coming out.
Yeah, but I remember thinking I wasn't grading that day. I was already a black belt, and I wasn't grading. I was just training, and I felt sorry for the lads that were grading afterwards because they were in bits, mate.
It was a tough session.
It was hard. It was really hard on a solid floor, wasn't it? He was making us doing back leg sweeps, so you land flat on the floor. I mean, like I say, you couldn't do it now. It wasn't cushioned. There was no matting. It was rock solid floor, and he would. We all had to practice this thing where we throw a backhand, grab, and take the back leg, and you'd land flat as a pancake on the floor on a solid concrete.
No, I think I was watching a podcast or something with Aidan Trimble Sensei on it, and he was saying, he says, back in the day, you just swept everybody. You've just practiced all these sweeps on a hard concrete
floor,
on a hard.
So he
was going on even like on a hard concrete floor. He says, obviously, like nowadays, like no way.
Well, I first went to Crystal Palace, watched the Nationals as a young lad. There was no matting. It was all on solid wooden floor. Yeah. There's no sprung floor. It was a solid wooden floor. Yeah. There's no matting. They used to have to walk back and tread on a damp towel, didn't they? So they have a grip on there.
Just try and get the dust off your feet, give you some grip.
It was crazy back then, yeah.
But so at the Nationals, then they like did you compete at the Nationals when it was at Crystal? It was at Crystal Palace, yeah.
Yeah. I remember once I got through to the last 16 in the men's seniors, and I just fought. It seemed to have gone on forever. Fought fight after fight after fight. And then I was told one of the guys, the person I was supposed to be fighting to get through to the last 8 for the night time do was last 8 quarterfinals, semis, and final, was injured. The guy that I was supposed to be fighting was injured, and I was pulled to the desk and said, "Oh, congratulations, you're through to the nighttime finals." I went, "Oh my God, I've actually done it. I'm in the finals. I'm in the nighttime final, the national championship."
That's big after getting through all day. Yeah,
it was a long day. And
so how much, just so people can realise, now, a pool, like the pool that you would have been in, like how many fights would have that been to get through?
Well, the mats were packed. So the men's senior kumite would start whenever it would be hours before he got through to the last. And every area had one person or 2 people that got through, and like I say, I was one of them, so they said. But then last minute I was cold, and I went, "Oh, that's fantastic." Brought me up to the desk again, and I said, "Oh, you got to fight again. You got to fight now." I said, "No." I said, "You told me that I was through to the nighttime finals. I was literally going to get changed, No, you got to fight Sensei Frank Brennan." You're right. And I was cold, and I got straight on the mat. I'm not saying at all that I would have beaten him. I very much doubt it, because he was at the top of his powers. But I thought, because mentally you drop. You see, you have to get yourself up.
Yeah,
and then mentally I dropped.
Every time you win a fight, you sort of adrenaline goes up.
And I had a go. Don't get me wrong, I had a go, and I did okay, but I can't help thinking, I could have done a lot better. And I think with the KGB back then, I think, especially with the people like the Red Triangle, they got a lot of special.
There was looked on as.
There was looked after, back then. And I've seen it many, many times in the KGB where they've been, and I'm sure people would say the same, that the top people really got looked after. If you was in the KGB squad. And it's happened to me on numerous occasions. I went to Harvey Adden. I went to the British Open Championships. And I fought somebody who was a national champion. I think it was Ishinru, national champion. And I never forget it. And Ian was there, my friend Ian Booth, and it was to get through to the semis of the men's seniors. And it was a big competition. There were thousands of competitors there. And I battered this dude. I swept him, and because he was in the British team and he was a national Ishinru champion, they weren't going to let me win, mate. I've seen it loads. I've seen it loads of times. And I'm not being. You could see it happening. I've seen it a lot. I've seen it happen to my mate Ian a few times. I've seen it happen to a lot of people. For example, one of my most outriding. There's a couple. My outriding memories are. There were 2 occasions. There was one in the the national championships, but there was the individual, the Shotokan Cup, they called it. And there was a ladies' competition, and it was the senior ladies. And the competition started, and they went through one round, and it got through to the halfway through the next round. And Karen Finley turned up. It was a member of the Red Triangle, and she was the national champion. So she turned up late, right? And so they started the competition again, right from the off. So everybody had to compete all right from the off. But at that particular time, I think that was the catalyst, wasn't it? Because it stopped after that because there was a massive row about it. They started the competition again for Karen Finley because she was in the Red Triangle and she was the national champion at the time.
I think you just get uproar.
Well, there was uproar. Well, this is what I'm saying. There was uproar. And there's that occasion. And another occasion which really shone out to me was when you really know you had to be in the click a bit, I think. Sensei Frank Brennan, who I'm a massive admirer of, and everybody in the world is the most inspirational guy. He's near perfect technically, kumite and kata,
grand champion,
widely renowned at the time as the world's best karate man. He fought a guy called Noel, I remember, from Birmingham. It was the national championships, but it was in the it was at Birmingham at the indoor.
They moved to the NEC.
NEC.
No, the NEC. The
National Indoor Arena. The National Indoor Arena. And he's fighting Noel. And Noel's a strong fighter. I fought Noel 4 times. Noel. And he was a big
chap, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a big, wide, very fast,
front leg
aggressive fighter. Very good lad from Benson, I believe. And Frank fought him in the Nationals. And it was in the KUGB Nationals. And it was in the Kumite individuals. And he came onto Noel very quickly, and Noel just met him hit him in the chest and sat him on his backside. Now, that was an ippon technique every day of the week, right? Referee didn't score it. I mean, he literally hit him and sat him on his backside, and he didn't score it. I thought, wow, there we go. This is what I'm talking about, there was an uproar about that, yeah. There was an uproar about that as well.
The referees are even thinking,
yeah,
can we judge against somebody who's
the
quality of Frank?
Yeah, they did. And I've seen Frank win World Cups, and for me, he's the best karate man that I've ever seen, ever lived. I think, and he's just incredible. But I have seen him when he's, when he hasn't been so good and he's lost.
We've seen him had some torrid fights in the past, haven't we? George West gave him
I remember you guys got a bit of a telling off, didn't you?
We did,
yeah. We got told off, yeah. But another occasion, and again, and I'm not bad mouthing the KGB or anything like that, because I'm not. Cause I love the KGB. I was a big part of it. Frank competed in the kata, and it was the national championships. And he came up against a guy called Sean Roberts. Now, Sean Roberts was from Sensei Bob Rose's club. And for me, probably one of, if not the best karate kata performer I've ever seen. He's the best kata. He used to do a kata called Gankaku. And if anybody knows what Gankaku is like, it is one of the most difficult katas you can do. The balance you have to have in it. And he went through as silky as anything, and he was perfect. It was perfection. If I ever saw a kata done perfectly, that was it. And he was nowhere near Frank. Frank won it, and I thought, he should have won it that day,
I mean,
but I've seen occasions where Frank did beat him,
Yeah.
And he got into one, but I mean, they won't thank me for this. I don't care anymore because I don't train. I've seen a few occasions where it's a little bit clicky. Yeah.
It's one of those, I mean, we've said it when you were on the podcast that like getting the Newark Open going, you needing referees and things. It's a thankless job. I mean, but you just, as obviously as a competitor, you just always hope that it is firm and it's fair.
Yeah,
that's
judge what you see.
But I've got to say though, the KGB, the level of refereeing and judging in KGB was fantastic.
Second to
Because I've
none,
been
yeah.
to open competitions,
Oh yeah,
and it's an
we've all
absolute
been
joke.
We've all been to open competitions where it's been
Yeah.
terrible.
It's been ridiculous. You know, I mean, it's so one sided. It's just
I think
there's
that's-
nothing you could do to win. There's
That's
nothing.
what comes across as that you've belonged to an association that's been at its top of its game for a long time,
Yeah,
and you knew that. You know, sometimes you'd think, well, I didn't get the rub of the green today, but it's you were part and parcel of a top organisation.
yeah.
Would you say that reaching that point at the Nationals, you know, in that time when it was as big as it was, is that sort of up there for you as like a pinnacle, as in for competing, or was there a chance?
For me personally?
Yeah.
No, I did a lot better after that. Because I really suffer with my nerves. I don't know. It was like a fear of failure. Because I was, again, a bit ADHD. I was just like, the fear of failure. And I was just like, I used to get so nervous, didn't I? I used to have real trouble with my stomach and stuff, you know.
I think a lot of people relate to that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think the success of more regional success was, you know, I think regionally our club was, you know, feared. Nobody, I said previously, nobody wanted to take our club on, but you know, central regions, individuals, Shotokan Cups, you know, that was a national competition. But I think regionally, yeah, we did pretty well for ourselves, really. And
was there one in particular that you were really proud of that you won, or?
Yeah, there is one in particular, and it was something that was like my nemesis. I always wanted to win the Central Region Men's Team Championship, just so we could say we was the best club in the Midlands, and then we did it.
Who was on the team with you?
It was me, Nigel Ross, and John Dornan, and John Dornan. Another fantastic fighter. I love John.
Three-man team then.
Three-man team then. You see, because it gone down to three-man team. And we went on and we won the Central Region Championships. When it was still a reasonably big competition, you know, it's watered down a lot now. Yeah, winning the Central Regions, we won the Nottinghamshire Open in the team, didn't we? We were the best team in Nottinghamshire. That's open. We won the Lincolnshire Open. I won about a good few times.
The Newark Open.
Newark Open, right? Won the Newark Open kata championships. Because I really worked on my kata, because I was quite good at kata, but I always lent towards kumite, you know. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to really work at it this time. And then I won the kata. And it's an ironic thing, this. And I'll tell you something. There's only twice I've ever competed against Sensei Wayne. Once at the Lincolnshire Open, and we competed in the men's senior kata championships, and it was an individual thing. You went up individually and you was going points. And once in kumite, which is in the team championships at the Newark Open, he beat me at kumite and I beat him at kata. So how can you work that out? You know, so all I ever did was kumite, you know, and that's all Wayne ever did was kata.
He's very well known for the kata,
he's brilliant kata man, Wayne.
Yeah, just recently we've been usually on a Tuesday evening, we've been going through again photographic memory, I think, for a lot of the katas, and we've been going through them all, well, a lot of them over the last few Tuesdays.
Yeah. But what was it, one in Nottingham, Sensei? We used to, it was a Nottingham Shotokan group. There was every Shotokan club in the Nottinghamshire area.
Yeah.
We won the men's team in that.
Yeah, not Shotokan group. That was formed by Bob Manning, I think.
Bob Manning, yeah. That was a great competition, that was. That was a lovely competition.
We just got all the Shotokan clubs in the area.
Yeah.
And formed trying to just form an alliance together.
Yeah.
And that was
brilliant. It was as big as the Central Region Championships. That was, and it was really good. Again, we're very well run.
I remember the Bingham Open used to be was all right.
Well, yeah, that was it. The Bingham, but it was not Nottinghamshire Shotokan,
right?
But it was at Bingham. Yeah,
yeah,
the Bingham.
That was a bigger sports.
And was the one in like Ipswich as well?
Yeah, we did well in that as well, didn't we? You did all right in Ipswich. When Steve wasn't severing people's eyes out.
We should have met each other in the final of that one, because we were on opposing sides of the channel going up and competing. And Dean and his brother came late.
Yeah, Tony and Dean, yeah.
And they got pushed in late. They said, "Oh, you can come in."
Because they were British team members, of course.
Yeah. And you wanted them in the competition,
Yeah, of course.
basically.
Yeah.
And Ipswich wasn't the best place to get to, so it was quite easy to get late. But
That was big, wasn't it?
it was a good competition. And so did you meet Dean in the final? I think? Or no?
No, we both got knocked out in the semis, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. You fought Dean, I fought Tony.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
I scored on Tony first. And he did well against Dean as well, but they just scraped through and they fought each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was. Dean was in the British squad and everything. Tony was just on the periphery, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But it was,
I was in the final of the Central Regions against Dean Hodgkins. And
I'd love to chat with Dean.
he's a
you
great
look at the videos.
he loved Dean. Yeah,
He
he's
was-
recently had a hip operation actually. Dean, yeah, all the training he's done in the past, But I fought Dean in the final of the KGB Central Region Championships, and Dean actually won the World Championships under the KGB. So he is an actual bona fide world champion, and. I go back to like the refereeing, who's this is a thing, and you was there, Sensei. He was coaching me, and Dean always did this thing where he was very light on his feet, but he always used to do a long lunge. He used to do a long lunge, and when he lunged, I always watched him, and I think that leg's for the taking. When he does that, as good as he was, and I swept him and hit him. And it was Ippon to win the match. Right.
sure.
No score. He was there, Sensei. He was there.
Yeah.
He was there to see. And everybody was shouting Ippon. No score. It's just another thing. And then Dean just stayed away then because he knew I was like sharp that day because I got through to the final. And he just stayed away and picked me off. And he scored a Rosari. And then he won the match with that Rosari, yeah.
So like at that point in competition, was gum shields, mitts, and everything? Was all that
No
in
mitts,
at that
no.
point? No,
It was bare
no
knuckles.
mitts.
Central
Just
just gum shield.
Just gum shield, yeah, and a box.
yeah.
Yeah, it was gum shield and a box.
Oh, was it?
I mean, even I can remember like, some of the injuries though. Oh.
Yeah. The worst was Crystal Palace when I first went.
Yeah.
The medics, they earned their money. I tell you, it was brutal. And there were some severe injuries on the mat one. That's when Terry broke.
The guy's skull.
There was the big lad from Liverpool, Terry O'Neill, when he cracked his skull. The big guy. He was in the triangle as well, wasn't he? George.
Oh yeah, not Joe
George.
Farley. It was.
No, it was George, I think.
Yeah,
Big guy. He was in the KGB squad. Yeah, but again, it's like the injuries. It was crazy. The cuts and the teeth missing. I remember seeing once at Crystal Palace a lad getting swept and it just snapped both his tib and fib. They just went across like that. And that was a regular occurrence, It was brutal. It was brutal.
Yeah, it was.
I remember I remember walking around at the Newark Open as a young lad. I can still picture it as clear as day now. That I don't know, you'll remember his name, but the chap, I think you caught him.
Ian John.
Oh, Ian.
Yeah,
In
that was horrible,
his
yeah.
eyes, his
Broke his
teeth.
jaw and his teeth in, yeah. Yeah, but that was not a powerful shot at all. It was just
coming
time.
together.
Yeah,
It was
smooth.
just timing, yeah. I felt sorry for Ian because he was an up-and-coming young fighter. And he was quite young at the time.
Yeah.
And he was doing really well that day in the men's team for Rushcliffe, I think.
Yeah.
At the time. And it was just a timing thing. And my two knuckles landed right on his chin and it peeled his teeth into his mouth. And he went down. I honestly thought that he was like play acting a bit because I did catch him, but I didn't think it was that hard. And then when he turned around, there was black blood in his mouth. I thought, oh my God,
Just split his gum.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad, but I felt really sorry for the lad. I really genuinely did. And he was a good fighter, but he never really competed after that. I think his confidence went a bit. Nice lad though, right, Ian.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll ever forgive me
very
for that, to be fair. It was bad, yeah.
No, I think I remember as a young lad. Oh, it's Sensei Phil. Sensei Phil doing it. Oh my God, he's killed him.
You had people that were really heavy-handed, and you went and you can see. But it's very rare I got disqualified.
Heavy-handed?
Yeah, I remember that, Sensei. Yeah,
Sever
/Walsh. But I rarely got done for excessive contact. I always used it. I was hard, but I never. But that day, I was. That was bad.
Any time that we've done sparring, I can always account for that. It was always clean.
That was a good Open, the Newark Open. That was a great because of the way it was run. There was Steve, Sensei Brian Dobb. They were the organisers, weren't you?
Main organisers, yeah.
And it was every club within like a 30-mile radius of Newark, and there was a lot of clubs back then, and they were all different styles. You had the Nottinghamshire.
Gary Pettit was one of the refs as well. He was Sensei over in Lincoln.
Yeah, and that was a great competition. That was very, very good. We did well in that one as well. Yeah.
So, but with the clubs that you trained sort of with locally in Nottingham, was it mainly Sensei Bob Manning's club, or
it was Graham Millward's?
Graham Millward at the time.
When it split from Bingham to, there was like John Shannon and Dave, smallish guy who with the big black belts at Bingham, and then they seemed to just disappear off the scene, and then Graham and John Dornan, Graham Millward, John Dornan, they started a club over at Rushcliffe, and that was a great club because there must have been 10 or 12 black belts there,
all young, fit, strong men.
I think that's where Bob Manning. I think he may have started at Bingham and then moved on to Rushcliffe with Graham and John and all those, and that was a strong club, really strong club.
Good.
Central Region.
They won the Central Regions. They were another one that won the Central Regions,
Well, I always remember you guys talking, obviously, always speaking highly of them and how competitive they were.
Well, first time I went into the gym and walked in, you stand your eye. So, all right, get number eye and start the class. You're expected to warm up before you got in there.
Yeah,
there was no warm up. It's just like you had an hour and a half, and they got everything into that hour and a half they could. So it was like straight. And of course, next time I warmed up well before I got there.
Get there plenty early.
It took me ages to warm up, but yeah, it was a good club. Really good club. Yeah, I enjoyed training there.
And our connections with that club was, we sort of initially modelled ourselves off the way they used to train.
Yeah,
because
we did. Yeah,
they were
and that's
strong.
why Grantham became as good as it did, because I think it was the inspiration from Graham's club.
Yeah,
it was really good. Graham and John's club. John was a great fighter. John Dornan. I mentioned his name before. He was a great fighter.
Yeah, I just remember because he was tall like myself. It was his legs.
Yeah,
I just remember seeing
he was
him
box splitter. John was.
Yeah,
he did splits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even back then,
2 new hips now.
2 new hips.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold out, but I'm getting there.
No, but we've spoke about that before. Obviously, there's mentioning some like Dean Hodgkins, John Dorn, a lot of these people. I mean, even I think Sensei Frank Brennan again has had hip surgery and things, and you do look at, again, we've talked about it with the body mechanics and stuff of the way stuff was done back then, opposed to maybe like how some of it's done now.
Yeah. Oh,
is it because you are seeing a lot of people that trained back then, new knees, new hips.
Yeah, well, I think the Japanese are built differently. They've got natural turnout in the hips. They're very supple in their ankles, and karate's they've made for them. Because they invented karate. They're the ones that invented it. So the stances are molded to the way they are. They are built slightly different. They are very loose in their ankles and their hips and stuff. And I think as Europeans, we're more known like strong men. We're big and strong, and most world's strongest men are Europeans. Do you know what I mean? But it's like the Japanese; they're built for karate, so it didn't bother them so much. But of course, it's a different way of working. The body mechanics are different for us than it is them, and they're naturally built for karate because they invented it. That's what I think it is anyway. Yeah.
So obviously, when you were training, what I know you've always been big into, as Sensei Steve said when he was on, it was like training, going to different, different martial arts or different things. What other martial arts or sports have you done to try and in the day either to supplement your training and things like that?
I've boxed for oh my god, probably 25 years. I've always done boxing. It's been really good for stamina and fitness, lightness of feet and stuff like that, and it really helped with my karate. I didn't do it as my main sport at all, but I have boxed. In fact, one time when we had Grantham, we bought a load of bags and
I remember when you had all the pads
like and it helped. It helped us no end. I mean, we were strong because we worked on pad work and stuff like that, and the stamina was good.
Stamina work,
it was really good.
Would you say what was it about was it the stamina stuff, or was it just and
it just got you really fit.
You've always had an interest in boxing.
I love boxing. I've been following boxing since. It's a martial art. I don't, what everybody say. Boxing is a real martial art. It's very technical, but the difference is karate is a distance way of fighting. Boxing is like your face, you're in the pocket fighting.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's hands-on after that. And I got my black belt at OCFM, which is an open circle fighting method, which is a mixed martial arts organisation. And I trained with them for a couple of years, and I took my black belt in that. That was a long day. We did 4 hours of sparring and grappling in training, and then we did 6 3-minute rounds of grappling, 6 3-minute rounds of pad work, and then 6 3-minute rounds of full open contact sparring, full contact open sparring. That was a long day. But I got my black belt, and I'm not proud of how I got the belt. It was the fact that I got myself in that condition, because I was really fit then, and I got through it okay. There was another guy taking his black belt that day, and he didn't fare so well. He looked like he was about to be hauled off to hospital. He was not in good shape. I did all right. It was a tough day, but I got there.
Were you doing all that still while you were training?
Yeah. But that was my main training at the time. I really focused on that, on getting my black belt at that as well. So it was tough training. Training with my friend Amit Goldsborough, who still trains twice a day now. Amit, he does jiu-jitsu in the morning and boxing in the afternoon. I train with him every day. So I was in good nick then, But karate always held me back. I always wanted to go back to karate.
I think it's one of those once it's got its hooks in you.
Yeah, it's just in my heart was good. We had a really good set of instructors. Our jiu-jitsu instructor was a guy called John Andrews. He was 3 times European heavyweight jiu-jitsu champion. There was the chief instructor of the Aikido, a guy called John Gaynor. He was they call him Whip. He was the takedown instructor. Russell was the pressure point instructor, because you do pressure points in the fights. And then our boxing instructor was a guy called Errol Bomber Graham. And Errol Bomber Graham was like European middleweight boxing champion. So we used to do courses with these lads, and the training was just incredible. I felt so lucky, because not a lot of people knew about it, and I felt so lucky that we got special attention, and it was always taking us to one side, and me and Amit, and we really got looked after. So we got sort of fast tracked to your black belts, if you like. So that was good training, yeah. But again, it just opened your eyes to all the different styles of fighting, Yeah. But karate
gives you a broad view, doesn't it?
Me back. Yeah, I love my karate. I think it's one of the best fighting arts there is, really. Yeah. People disagree with me because they don't train like we used to. I've seen very often. Somebody like Dean Sugden, he's a kickboxing instructor and a very good kickboxing instructor, but he always said to me, karate is non-contact. Well, come down and do it then. See how non-contact it is. It's like another guy, Jack Bowers. He was a kickboxing instructor in Lincoln. very successful. Had world champions, European champions. He didn't like it because it was way too technical for them kind of people, you know. But I'm not having a go at any of them at all. I think they're all very, very good at what they do. But I know, you know,
like in MMA now in the UFC, you'll see the ones that'll have their sort of base, like it might be karate or kickboxing, and then obviously they're doing the Brazilian jiu-jitsu for the groundwork and things like that. It was a mixed martial arts organisation, you know. That's what it was. But you had top instructors from their field training like it was back in the day. Now they're all mixed martial artists. Yes.
You know, they're all mixed martial artists. They're training everything all the time, you know.
Well, I've got to bring up as well, you, as I remember, you did a sponsor, it was for charity, I think, wasn't it? You did a sponsored, was it 50-man
fight? Yeah.
Kumite fight?
Well, going back to my boxing interest, of an old friend of mine, Ishan Pickering, I was training with him at the boxing club in Newark, the RHP boxing club. And we used to train down there, and Ishan was really good. He was a national boys champion, and he won a national title in the amateurs, you know. And then this lad come down and train him, and he said he was from Sheffield, and he says, "Yeah, you want to go and see Brendan Ingle?" He says, "You've got it, you have. You know, you're good, you are." And I says, "Well, why don't we go down?" And he says, "No, I'm not that good." I said, "Okay, let's go down. What's he going to say?" You know. So it was me and Dean Sugden, you know, my old mate Dean Sugden, and Isham, and we drove down to Sheffield. And Isham, we went to speak to Brendan Ingle. It was very almost rude. He says, "Look, I can see lads like you every day of the week." You know, it says lads turning up at the gym thinking they're, you know, going to be world champions and stuff. He says, "I get it all the time. What's different about you?" And I said, "Well, I was actually told to come here by a young lad who used to train it, and he said that, you know, Isham, he looks like he got it." And he looked at Isham and says, "I know you, don't I?" He says, "Usually in the amateurs, weren't you?" So he even knew it, Brendan. He was clued up on the amateurs as well. He goes, "Yeah, you won the amateurs, didn't you?" He went, "Yeah, it's right." He says, "Get your gloves on and get in the ring." And he didn't have any gloves with him. He says, "You've come down to see me, and you haven't bought any gloves." He says, "You're having a laugh, aren't you?" And he said, and he looked under the ring, Brendan did, and he pulled these old gnarly gloves out from under the ring. He says, "Put them on and get in there." And he made him spar for 14 rounds, 14 3-minute rounds. He made him spar with different lads. And then he came out and he radically changed, Brendan did. And he said, "You know, what you need to do now is invest in yourself, you know, get some money, get some people behind you. And you can move to Sheffield and start training there full time. Invest in yourself." We was like, well, it really took us back. Like, oh my God, you know, this is major, you know.
Yeah, but I bet you should have made up.
So I decided to do a sponsored fight. And I thought it'd be a really good idea to do a 50-man fight one afternoon at Grantham. So we got 10 lads.
What was you thinking?
Yeah, well, we got 10 lads, all brown and black belts, and I was going to fight them all, you know, 3-minute rounds. Same rules as karate, really. You know, one hip on two wazaris, and each fight. And the first few fights, I thought, I'm not going to do this. You know, I'm tired already, sort of thing. You know, I trained really hard for it, and sort of like, I don't know, 10 fights in, I got my second win. And I was all right up until about the last 10. So I got to about round 40. And I was like, I was really flagging. And I did that last 10, and it was tough. It was really tough. I've never really recovered, really. I broke my floating rib. I had, you know, loads of bruises, but bloody floating rib.
As I remember, you started off quite strong with our, with our old friend Sensei Hemstock.
Yeah. I ended up knocking Ian out because I was that fired up, you know. I swept in and I hit him, but I hit down, and of course down is destructive, so it knocked him spark out. Oh God! And then I got hit another guy called Frank, didn't I? Frank, and he went down. And then a lad called Martin Doherty came in late. He'd come down to fight me as well. And he walked in, he said, I nearly walked straight back against these two guys. But believe me, I was struggling towards the end. I thought another, one of the lads that was there as well was David Hurst. And I remember me and David winning the Newark Open and the Kumite. We were the last two people to win it. He won the intermediate, I won the seniors. And he was in there as well. And he didn't take any mercy on me like last 10 fights, mate. He really went for it. So I'm big mates with Dave, and he's a brilliant karate.
Yeah, me and Dave still speak as well. He's a good,
and his son is really good apparently.
Yeah, I've seen video of him. He looks
But
that was a long. So from that.
How much can you remember how much money you raised?
I can't remember. I think it was about £1,000, something like that.
1,200 quid, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. So we managed to get him a television and a bed and some training equipment and stuff like that. Just enabled him to move to Sheffield.
Yeah.
And then Isham became the British, the Commonwealth, and the European champion.
Yeah, I remember
as a super bantamweight,
yeah.
And he never quite made it to the world title, but I mean, he was a very, very good fighter, and he did really well out of the game, you know. And I think I'm happy. I'm always happy to help people, but it was like one of those things, you know, to help somebody out to succeed like that.
Put them on the
map. Yeah, put them on the map really, because Isham was like a real, you know, renowned fighter, very good. And that was a tough old day. That was, yeah.
Well, I know.
I never really recovered from it. I really didn't. Yeah.
Well, I know. I was speaking with Sensei David Hurst just recently because, just recently from Newark Club we had Sensei Sean Cassidy and Sensei Josh Hyde. They were part of the JK England team that just won the men's team. I couldn't be more happy for Sean. I mean, Josh is a great lad, but I don't really know him that well. He's a lovely lad, but I don't really know. But I've known Sean since he was a young lad, and he's quite a complex character, is Sean. But he was really good when he was young. I've always liked him, but he lost his way a little bit in life, you know, as a lot of us do. And he came back to karate, and now look. Yeah. It's history, isn't it? I mean, he's probably got sick of me nagging him. So
well, he's a European champion.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't imagine that, could you?
Again, he's a lad who's got natural talent.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. To do from where he was to where he is now, it's an incredible story. It really is, because.
Yeah, and if he's off to the World Championship.
Obviously, we're very lucky as a club that him, Sensei Sean, Sensei Josh, and even one of our juniors, Lorenzo, have been selected to go to the Worlds in October. And me and Sensei Dave were talking. It was like, he says, do you fancy doing like one of these sponsored fights? What Phil did to try and raise some money for the lads? And I was like, I can pretty remember the stories.
Don't take it lightly, mate. Don't take it lightly. I wouldn't advise it. I'd put it that way. I wouldn't advise it. God, it was hard work. It really was.
Speak to Ian.
Might share the load with him if he fancies.
Speak to Ian Hemstock now. He still can't remember what went off on those first few fights.
I can remember afterwards we all went out for a drink. I mean, I was sore, you know, but we all went out for a drink just trying to numb the pain a bit. And Ian was vacant, wasn't he?
He was like, had no recollection of what had gone on.
He's not right. He's concussed ears. Yeah, bless him. And he's another good lad, Ian.
Yeah, well, we see him when he comes over from America now, and he's living the life, isn't he, out there?
Yeah.
Saw him a few weeks ago. He's good spirits.
Yeah, it's great lad, Ian. I love Ian.
But again, the friendship through karate is there, stands at the test of time, doesn't it?
Matt Cove, another Sensei Matt Cove, he went out to visit him recently as well.
Yeah, he was
so like I say, you know, you've got this worldwide sort of friendship, and you've always been mates for life. If you bled on the mat, you're friends for life, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
it's like Ian met his wife.
Met his wife, Wendy, who was a black belt, and she was very good, Wendy. She did well, didn't she? She did well in competition.
Very well. Good.
She did right.
Yeah,
good girl.
Yeah, Sensei Janet always, from Sensei Janet Farrell, who was on, she always speaks highly of Wendy, because I think they were in a team when again, Newark and Grantham help each other out, and
I think they won something.
Nikki Clark, though she was in the team as well.
Clark,
yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Nikki
Janet,
was
Nikki
a real
Clark,
natural. Nikki, she was very good. Yeah. I don't know what she's doing now, but she was a very good fighter. Nikki was. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
I
won the
think-
Central Region Championships.
Yeah, I think it was spoke to her a bit back on social media, and she was saying that I think it's either a knee or a hip or something she's
Yeah.
struggling with as well
Yeah.
now. But she says she misses it and wishes that she could come back. But she says, it's just
Yeah, it's
not.
not
It just
happening,
feels
yeah.
like
We've
it's
got to
not.
stop-
It's not
I've got
happening.
to stop talking about knees and hips, or nobody will ever
We'll never do anything.
never do anything.
Yeah.
So, what I wanted to bring up was just obviously that there was news recently. Was obviously this news with Andy Sherry being obviously convicted.
Pretty shocking, really.
Especially for like,
it's a difficult one because I really looked up to Andy Sherry. I was a massive fan of him because he was in the Red Triangle and the British coach. Somebody of that level and somebody you respected so much being convicted of such a heinous crime, really. It's pretty shocking. It's pretty shocking to say the least. And I don't know the legal ins and outs of it, but we live in an age now where, thank God, we've got all these different laws. And,
going back to the old days, there was no safeguarding officers. There was no.
No, it was none of that.
There was none of that. So
No, it's none of that. But who would have known?
Yeah, but was it happening in plain sight? Was it, was anybody else privy to the information that just sort of turned a blind eye? Who knows? It could have been a very private sort of matter that he sort of conducted himself in that manner. Don't know. Can't speak of how it occurred, but yes, we all looked up to him as a sensei. He took me for my first dan. Attended many courses where he's taught, and nobody more surprised to hear that sort of news.
ultimately you abuse your position though, and
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it happens a lot, doesn't it?
well, you do. You
You
read about it, but
Well,
that's why we have these
yes.
safeguarding things in place now.
Yeah, thank God.
It's-
Thank God for that.
You've read about it in swimming, in gymnastics, in football.
Yeah, it's
You know,
all coming
it's-
out now. I mean, people are actually talking out. Now, this is what's happened.
It needs
People
need
are
to
actually
speak about
talking.
it,
Yeah, they do.
and
It's
you
like
just-
the
you just-
depression thing. Men never talk, but they do now.
yeah,
Now men are starting to talk because suicide rate's gone up and stuff like that. So so lads of peak and whoever has been involved with this,
you just
start
hope
to
that
speak out, and rightfully
fair
so.
play to have the courage to speak out.
Yeah,
as
and fair
well.
play
Yeah.
to them for having the courage to come
and
out.
you just hope that the victims can find some.
some solace in
Some
that.
solace,
Yeah,
yeah.
Absolutely.
absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
So, moving swiftly on from that. But what does the future hold for Sensei Phil Raikes?
Well, to be honest, Chris, I would love to get back into karate again, but it just seems at the minute I go so far and I just start getting somewhere, and something snaps or something stops working, or I get an injury. So it is difficult for me to. My problem is I've got to understand that I'm nearly 60 years old, and I can't do what I used to do.
I think that's the major thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's
And I get disappointed I can't do that.
because we
So,
have that sort of memory of training hard, working hard. It's very difficult to try and step away from that. And it's not when I've been to the club and taken
But me is like nearly 42. I mean, I get that now. Though stepping away from competition and things like that. Like you get asked all the time, you're gonna go into the veterans or gonna go this.
Sean's
And
a nightmare. He's trying to get me to fight. Sean is. And I'm like,
he's
mate,
always he's the same as me.
It's I don't know. It's probably a macho thing, but when I've been to the club and took the odd class, I get such enjoyment out of it. But there's that element of you think, could I then go back and train a bit harder? And I think, no, probably not.
I think it's there. You just have, it is a difficult thing. You sort of have to find that where your body and it all lies.
It's a happy
don't you?
medium.
It's,
And I
happy
I think
medium.
if it ever come back, it would have to be in just like a helping out sort of way.
Well,
I won't be
You've
able
got so
to
much.
do
I think you've got so much to offer.
a full training session about breakdowns. But
the
then
club-
again,
The club would benefit by, having your experience.
the door's
Yeah,
the door's
especially
always
with-
open.
Yeah.
but we used to get back in the day when we used to train it extremely hard. I mean, would I slip up and say if I came back, I'll just wang this round and then something to go again. But I've got to. I really want to come back. I really, because I miss it every day. I miss karate every single day of my life. And I'm walking down the street doing kata and stuff. When I walk to work, I'm doing moves and stuff. I still do it.
It's like
I still remember all my katas. I still remember them all.
I won't imagine you'd forget them. It's just
No. Drilled. It's drilled into.
Well, it is. I think it's one of those. Even if you've had time away, you come back thinking, I'll never remember that, and then it just it just
clicks. Yeah.
But I would love to come back to karate again. But I am training. I do a few weights, do a little bit of bag work, but I'm only training just to keep fit. I walk, bike ride, stuff like that. So I keep myself fit, but it's I don't do anything intense anymore. But I've actually packed in boxing as well, because I used to train with Carl Greaves at Carl Greaves Boxing Academy, a very successful trainer, Carl Greaves, and a real good mate of mine. I used to train at his club on a regular basis, 2, 3, 4 times a week. I just can't do it now. And then I've got my friend Amit Goldsborough, who is always trying to get me back to training. And he's got a bad knee and a bad elbow, and he's just like early 40s. Yeah. I said, wait till you get 60, mate. Do you know what I mean? And he's starting to feel, these little injuries. He's got a groin injury at the moment, stuff like that. But you just, it's very difficult. You just got to go steady, I think, and that's it's a hard ask for me.
Like you say, you've got to think, no, I can't do that, or I'm not comfortable with that. Trying to find that happy, like you say, happy medium.
Yeah, and I do miss it. I miss being in the club environment. I miss watching people develop and stuff like that. I really miss it every day. Every day I miss karate.
No, I mean that's the thing that's probably done it for me since I'd stepped away from competing or anything like that. It is like now, like you're seeing the development, and again, getting Sean back into training.
You got to see enjoyment from that.
Yeah,
and you get.
Absolutely. Like getting enjoyed, thinking. You just think you couldn't be any prouder that.
Yeah, absolutely.
3 of your club mates.
How many other clubs could say that?
That have been, have been selected to go to the World Championships and things like that.
Incredible, mate.
Especially when you see people that have got the talent, and you keep getting back, get back to doing it as well. It's definitely that's the rewarding part of it. I think if you've done with competing and things like that, it's just checking the ego. if there's been ego, some people don't have it at all. But it is. It's. I think you're just training without ego. Just training because you love it.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you love the sport, and you've got to try and find that happy medium of enjoying what you do.
And we did really well in competition. For a club our size, competing against Red Triangle, Leeds, all these top clubs, Benson and all those. We did really, really well. The standard we're at was a high standard of karate, and it's a hard thing to swallow when you're just not there anymore. It is, but I mean, I'm taking stock now.
But you were there. That's the thing.
Yeah. And I do believe, and I'm sure Steve will back me up on this one. I think not that we underachieved, because we did really well, but we should have been better.
Could have, would have, should have.
We could have been. We could have won more, and we could have. There's times when referees' decisions have gone against us. And I'm not moaning about it at all. As a lot of people say, oh, it's refs. But, there's a couple of times that I'm thinking, come on. And then we've had it snatched out of our hands. When in the Central region, I got disqualified for hitting that guy, and it was a perfect technique. Yeah. French guy. He was in Wolverhampton club, wasn't it?
Rubbed his nose that much it bled.
Yeah, and he kept falling over. And honestly, it was bang on. And I got disqualified, and we lost on the disqualification because were 2-2. Yeah. But because of my disqualification, it was. But it wasn't a disqualification.
But you couldn't.
He had to pull me off him in the changing rooms.
He
couldn't. Last time, we beat Benson.
Yeah.
The year they went on to win the Nationals, we beat them in the Centrals.
Yeah. We beat them in the Centrals. 4 weeks later, they won the national championship. They beat the Red Triangle.
Yeah.
This is a level we were at, and that's what it was close and
so close.
Yeah,
but we also had again saying where I'd say a decision has gone for one of your club mates.
Yeah.
And would have been a big shock back in the day was when Nigel Ross.
I know the referee, Norman. Norman was refereeing.
Norman Gomersall.
Norman, who's from Bob Rhodes' club. Okay, and he were a Yorkshireman, no nonsense Yorkshireman, brilliant lad, and he was straight down the middle. Because I'm telling you now, if that had been anybody else, Rossi wouldn't have got that score. I promise you.
So we have to so people know like what we're talking about was at the central regions we'd got Nigel Ross, who was a brown belt. Yeah, and he got drawn up against
lifelong brown belt.
Yeah, he got drawn up against Sensei Ronnie Christopher.
Yeah, European champion.
Yeah, at the time. Yeah,
around about that time. Yeah.
And you'll have to set the scene for me because I was not there. So
it was in the team event, and it was Newark v 5 Ways, was it?
Yeah, I think it was 5 Ways.
5 Ways. It was Ronnie's club anyway, and Ronnie is a revered karate man. Former European champion, a long-term member of the KGB squad. And Rossi went on and he was a brown belt. And literally, Ronnie was going through people like a knife through butter that day. And he saw...
It was afterwards.
He was afterwards.
I think
he got up against Nigel and he tried roughing him up a bit. But Nigel was a good fighter, mate. I'd say he was a real sharp counter puncher and deceptively good in distance, wasn't he? He seemed to move in quickly. He didn't look like he was moving very quick, but he always used to catch him. Yeah, really deceptively quite quick and a really good fighter. And I always remember it because I was about to go on the mat myself because I was fighting for Grantham and he was fighting for Newark. Yeah. Now he had his left leg forward. He went to do a Mwashigo. Ronnie moved back, came in. He went to do a Mwashigo. He stepped back and Gyakuma Wash, and it hit him clean as a whistle on the head.
Just Irma washed him, right?
Irma Wash, Gyakuma Wash on the Irma Wash straight on the side of his head. It went like that, and Ronnie laughed and walked backwards. But you could see he was rotten and especially when he lost that fight. And it was an inspirational moment because Nigel was. It's a lot of things, but he was a good fighter. But have we heard the last of it?
No.
We'll never hear the last of it, mate. You ever talk to Rossi, the first thing he'll say to you, have you ever heard of Ronnie Christopher? He lives in Tenerife now, bless him. I do miss Nigel. He was a good lad. Yeah.
Character.
Good character.
Well, I'm sure I remember you saying that after that event, like Ronnie was just absolutely.
He just went wild. Yeah, I remember he fought Graham Millward in the team, and he just set about Graham, and he really busted him up. He was quite nasty.
No,
he went through people. Because he was embarrassed because he just lost to a brown belt.
He just took his eye off the ball for a moment, and it was probably the first fight of the morning.
It can happen, but it can happen.
But he didn't lose anything after that.
But people were saying, I remember people saying, he was lucky there. And I'd say, no, he wasn't. I says, he saw the opening, took the shot, and he scored. There's nothing to do with luck. He did it. He saw the opening and took it. It happens sometimes. You get these top lads. You get these top lads.
Like you say, Rossi was a good fighter. He'd got the ability to do that sort of thing. Not necessarily against Ronnie, but he took his opportunity.
Yeah, he took it. But like we say, we've never heard the last of it since.
Well, I have spoke to Nigel, and I did say to him if he's ever over this way, he could jump on the podcast. It'd be good to have him on.
I tell you what, it'd be interesting. It'd be a good laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, he does. I mean, Nigel and I, we used to compete a lot together. We used to just drive and go somewhere, Lincoln and Boston and all these different places. We used to do really well in competition. Yeah, we did okay.
I remember he was always good with his legs, and also he'd like to sweep as well.
Yeah, he could take him down. Yeah, he was a good leg sweeper. Yes, he was renowned on the mat and the street.
Yes.
Pocket full of salt.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Right, well, we always finish up the podcast since Andy's got his quick fire questions, but I've got them here with me today. So, just nice and quick. Don't think about it too much. Okay. Just give me whatever comes to your mind straight away.
Right.
So, favourite technique to use in kumite?
Me personally?
Yes.
Kizamazuki.
Favourite kata to perform at competition? You.
Cody Xiao.
Best competitor that you've ever faced?
Frank Brennan.
Oh, okay. So the next one, best male competitor that you've ever seen compete.
Best male competitor?
Yes, that you've seen personally. Elwin Hall. Yes, yeah. I remember that you fought him, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. The best female competitor that you've seen.
Oh, that's a difficult one. Best female competitor. What was that really good-looking Italian girl with who was good at kata in the Europeans? Mancini. Mancini.
Only because she was
gorgeous. No, the best female competitor I ever seen.
You said Wyan Hatton, didn't you?
No, Wyan was good. Yeah,
Wyan was really good. She was a regular third placer, but she's just graceful, really.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back now, mate. That's not a question I can do quickly. Best female competitor.
Julie Nicholson.
Julie Nicholson, I always think is a good example.
Julie Nicholson was good. Yeah, she was good.
I can let you think on that one.
Yeah, you've got me there. You've got me there. Best female karate competitor. Yeah.
I'll leave it. So, which Newark or Grantham members would you pick for a 5-man team?
Ooh, Sensei Steve. Apart from me, yeah.
Yeah, or you can be in it. It can be you as well, doesn't it? It's...
Newark and Grantham, right? Sean Cassidy, Steve, Nigel Ross. I would have
Steve, Sean, yeah, Nigel. Two more.
See, I'd pick Mark Amos, but he just always get disqualified. So probably not Amos. I would have. So we've got Sean, Sensei,
Steve, Nigel.
I'd have Chris Walsh.
Oh, you've been too kind there, Sensei. Too kind.
And right, one more. Oh, so many, isn't there? Chris Walsh and
Patrick Simpson. He was good.
Patrick Simpson, probably. I'm not a fan, but yeah, he was very good. Yeah. He liked to tell you how good he was. Yeah, he liked to tell you how good he was. Yeah, I forgot about Patrick, to be fair. Yeah, he was very good. Yeah.
He was on the junior.
He used to train at Manchester.
He was at the I think he was on the junior squad as well.
He's a good lad, Patrick. He's a good fighter. I remember him fighting in the World Championships. Yeah.
Did he win?
Oh, what Sensei Wayne would remember. But he was on the junior squad.
Yeah, Patrick was good, yeah.
Okay, next one then. So, your greatest karate achievement?
My greatest karate achievement? Oh, there's a couple here. As an instructor, getting Willie Patton his black belt. Because, I'll tell you why. Because Willie was always very, very good. He was technically fantastic. He really was good. But he had a mental block when it come to kumite. And we made a decision, didn't we? And it wasn't a very nice decision, but it's a decision that Steve and I had to take. Right, we've got to get him to fight back because he never fought back. It was psychological with Willie. And after we trained him, we thought, right, we're going to have to be a bit rough with him and make him come out of himself a bit. And we battered him.
Cruel to be kind.
And battered him. And then one day he turned on us. And then he took his black belt 2 weeks later and he passed his black belt. Oh, as an instructor, that was one of my favourite moments. I think we did all right there, didn't we?
I think it was
brown belt for 12 years.
I think it was mad. I don't know. Hopefully, I'm not going to speak out of turn. I think he took his black belt 6 or 7 times.
Yeah,
and it was
It was a real psychological problem for him.
We used to travel all over the country, and it was usually something that just never got kata only or kumite only. It was just fail, and technique. It was.
It's because it's funny because I'd have been really young probably then, but since then and like years gone by, I mean, I would say he's never like that. He gets stuck in.
Oh yeah. But he's
yeah.
Andy Sherry took him for his downgrade when he finally passed, and he saw from the first cue to the downgrade Shodan grading, it was 7 years, and Andy Sherry went, 7 years, and he says, yes, very special day, Sensei, because he'd passed Shodan, and that was a really good mark for Willie.
Yeah. So that was as a personal thing for me. I think probably one of my proudest moments when I got picked to fight for England against Algeria at Crystal Palace, so that was one of those personal things where I think, I'm a decent fighter.
Yeah, I could hold
me over anybody.
Yeah.
Obviously, I said for them to be sure, but I need to. Obviously, I'll try and pick up on that. How did that come about?
Down at Crystal Palace, mate. Algeria came over to fight against a British team. Bob Rhodes was asked to select a European team to fight against Algeria that was during the week, and then they went on to fight the British team, the actual KGB British team, at the end of the week, and we just took them apart, didn't we? We ruined them, and then they really got took apart by the KGB after that.
Give them a taste of what was to come.
Yeah, we picked. Sensei Bob picked me. Sensei Bob Rose picked me to fight for his team, so that was good. Yeah. But there are many different ones, but I think
ones that really stand out. Yeah. Okay, so the next one, the instructor that has had the most lasting effect on you.
Ooh. Most lasting effect. One of the top instructors, you mean?
It could be someone that you trained with,
Yeah. The instructor that had the most lasting effect. There's a couple. Sensei Ihara, Sensei Kawazoe, and Graham Ravey. Probably Graham Ravey is the most outstanding one for me, just because it was like a superhero to me, because I was only young when I was only 15, 16 years old. I thought he was incredible,
the student that you taught that had the most potential.
Again, mate, there was a young kid, I remember Greenbelt, Richard Senior. Not Richard.
Richard Senior, that name rings a bell.
He was a little kid, and he was a white belt, and he was doing Shiro Mawashi Geris and round asses, right from the off. He was an incredible little thing. But unfortunately, his parents split up and he moved away. But he had the most potential, I think, of anybody. Richard Senior. I've taught Sean before, and he's done really well. In my club, probably Martin Doherty, probably. He was really good, Martin.
He was technically good, very
technical, very fast.
Yeah.
A lot of people would be surprised to say that, but he was a very, very good karate lad, Martin.
Yeah, he was.
Doherty,
And the last one,
these are fast questions.
I can't
got time to think about them.
Last one, I promise. Your favourite karate moment of, like, if you can nail it down to like one moment where there was
winning the Central Region Championships in the men's team kumite.
Yeah,
that was the one for me. That was the one where it was just my nemesis, which is something we could never do. And when we finally did it, I think after that, that's when I realised that I can sit back
rest
in the chair
easy.
now. I can go to sleep now.
I can start smoking cigars.
So, winning the Central Asian Championships was, probably my favourite moment. I was so happy that I'd won it. That was, out of all the things I've won, I think that was the one that I enjoyed the most.
No, I mean, the memories of me, like, going with you guys to the Centrals and things like that. I mean, it always seemed, don't get me wrong, the Nationals obviously was the Nationals, but it does seem like Centrals always had that.
It's just always, I think you knew you stood a fair chance on your day that you'd be in the medals somewhere. Nationals was different. You had to be really on your game to get national level. Yeah. I think Central regionally, we knew we entered every one of those thinking we could win this.
Yeah. Yeah, we did all right. We did good, didn't we, Sensei?
I think we did all right.
We did all right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks ever so much for coming in, Sensei.
Oh, it's been an absolute
And
pleasure,
also,
mate.
thanks for being a guest.
Sorry about the quick questions. I mean, I hope I offended anybody,
It's
but
gotta be better.
there's a lot of
better than mine. I
good
think
things that have happened in the
My
past.
quick
you know.
questions went on for about an hour.
I know. I'm just trying to get them out quickly, but you don't really think, do you? It's what
Yeah.
pops into your mind.